I'm going to talk to you today about watches in movies. Now, I absolutely love films, and I can't help but notice when I see a watch there. Now, you might be wondering, why are watches in films at all? And that's really because films are based on reality. The characters in the film still need to know what the time is, even if it's set way into the future. And today we're going to be looking at a handful of good and bad science fiction movies that feature watches. You might be wondering how those watches are chosen, and they're usually chosen in conjunction with the properties master or prop master. Sometimes they're chosen for the way they look, sometimes it's about a function, or perhaps a connection with the character, sometimes it's about money. So let's jump right into it. 3 watches from 3 science fiction films, because in space, there's no excuse to be late. We're going to start off with one of my absolute favourite films, 1979's Alien. Directed by Ridley Scott and starring Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley, it also features one of the most horrifying and terrifying and absolutely horrible creatures in movie history. The Xenomorph. Most of the film is set on board an interstellar mineral refinery, the Nostromo, which, as it happens, is Italian for shipmate. And one of the best things about the Alien film is the design. From the sets, to the costume, to the alien xenomorph itself, everything has been done not to be future sci-fi, shiny and clean, but really grimy and realistic, and as you'd expect for what is effectively a mining ship. And Ripley's watch is no exception, except it's not just one watch, it's 2. With a very, very low budget, the filmmakers decided to choose the Casio F100, except they chose 2 of them and they strapped them together with a single NATO, laying the whole thing in a red tray and strapping it onto Ellen's wrist. The F100 had been released just a year earlier, and it was the first Casio to have a full resin case, laying the foundation for future classics like the F91W. Unfortunately, you can't buy one of these watches, but you can make one yourself, and you can purchase the current re-edition A100, or at least 2 of them, and 3D print your own tray to complete the full Ellen Ripley look. The absolute success of Alien meant that Aliens was going to be inevitable, and in 1986, that was the year I was born, James Cameron decided to make Aliens. This time there was a bigger budget, and that meant a better watch, and so James Cameron decided to do a collaboration with Seiko, designed by none other than Giorgetto Giugiaro, car designer Giorgetto Giugiaro, who designed none other than the Lotus Esprit, Lamborghini Gallardo and DeLorean DMC-12. It was based on the Seiko 7A28, which was the first quartz chronograph to have an analog display, which sounds crazy, but as it was launched in the 1980s, it was actually a throwback to the Swiss watches of old, trying to give it some more quality to give the Seiko brand more credibility. It had a full metal movement with 15 jewels, and it was fully serviceable. In fact, it was really rather high quality. It's not the only film it was in either. Roger Moore wore one in A View to Kill as, obviously, James Bond. But for Ripley's watch, the design was modified to add a bar on the right-hand side, which included 2 pushers top and bottom to replace the pushers ordinarily on the side of the case. Now that watch is very famous, but it's not the only Seiko 7A28 in the film Aliens. Giugiaro designed another for Lance Henriksen's character of Bishop, the robot that rights the wrongs of Ash in the first Alien. For Bishop Seiko, it wasn't quite as heavily modified, but the entire case was offset to the bracelet, which gave it a very, very futuristic look. Both watches are now incredibly collectible, and there have been several re-editions. If you get the opportunity to get one, I suggest you do. Now, from 2 superb science fiction horrors to one that is perhaps not so good, we're going to talk about the film Event Horizon. Set in 2047, it follows the discovery of the Event Horizon ship, which has been missing for quite some time, and the rather disgusting demise of the crew. Now, all that sets the scene for a really good space horror, but aside from some odd dialogue choices, strange performances, and just general bad filmmaking, there is one scene at the beginning that is really quite odd. It's right at the opening where we discover the event horizon and what has befallen the crew, and floating in amongst all of the debris in the stricken ship is a watch, one of the crew members' watches, an Omega Speedmaster. Now, the Omega Speedmaster is not a bad watch at all. In fact, it's one of the best, and considering that it actually has been into space and been on the moon, it is a perfect watch for a space mission. But not for a mission set in 2047. No wonder the mission went wrong if they were still using an Omega Speedmaster. Still, I don't know what else to really expect from a film that had this as the captain's chair.
You know the rules, people. Someone drops the ball, we get the call. Now, let's go.
Come around to 334.
Heading 334, sir.
Make your approach vector negative 14 degrees. Justin, I believe you're up for a walk.
Yes, sir.
I hope you enjoyed that look at 3 different watches from 3 different science fiction films. If you want to see more like this, do let me know in the comments below and tell me what films you'd like me to look at next. And of course, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. And in the meantime, if you do want to see more of me, head over to the Watchfinder channel and you'll see more videos there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.